Brittany and welcome back to Brittany Unplugged. And as you can tell by the title of this video, we're going to be talking about copycats. So I'm really going to break this topic down today. So if you want to know the types of copycats, the signs of a copycat, how to deal with a copycat, and if you find that you maybe are a copycat, how to deal with yourself being a copycat, then keep watching. So the first thing that one must ask themselves when it comes to this specific topic is, what is a copycat? Like, what is it? A copycat, by definition, is someone who copies the way you dress, your behaviors, etc., and they really are more of a replica of you. So there are three types of copycats. The first kind are the healthy copycats, the second kind are the toxic copycats, and the third kind are the spiteful copycats. Now, the first kind of copycat, which are the healthy copycats, this is a very harmless copycat. In fact, in a lot of cases, you shouldn't even classify them as a copycat because this is healthy because they come to you. This person comes to you for ideas. They come to you for advice. Or maybe, for example, let's say you're doing music and then someone else who's an upcoming artist does a similar genre to you, and they really come to you for advice, for ideas, for help. And then the reason why it's healthy is because the end result is that it's inspiring them, it's helping you, and the end result is you will get credit for the idea. That is why it's healthy. It's because it's more of a mentor kind of thing rather than them actually copying you, plagiarizing your ideas, etc. Now, the second kind of copycat, which are the toxic copycats, are toxic because by definition, the word toxic is poisonous. And the reason why the toxic copycats are different from the spiteful copycats is because toxic copycats can sometimes be toxic copycats by being, it can be very unintentional. Toxic copycats act based off of insecurities. So they feel like in order to feed off of who you are, in order to feed off of your ideas and literally taking your ideas as their own, it's feeding their self-esteem because it could be insecurity based. So a lot of the times it could be very unintentional, but then the reason why it's toxic is because it's poisonous and it's causing damage to you. But then it's toxic because sometimes they don't realize the kind of damage that they are causing onto you. Now, the third kind of copycat, which is the most damaging and the worst copycat, are the spiteful copycats. Now, these people, the reason why this is different to a toxic copycat is because this person, a spiteful copycat, is intentionally trying to cause harm to you by stealing your idea and making it their own. Oftentimes, spiteful copycats always try to one-up your exact idea to make it their own so that they get credit for the idea. And in both cases, with toxic copycats and spiteful copycats, you will never get credit for your idea. Even if it's the most brilliant idea that can change lives, if it can change the world, if it can stop an asteroid from coming to Earth, they will still take that idea as their own. But then with spiteful copycats, they will try to one-up that idea. So if there's an asteroid coming to Earth and then you have a way to stop it, they will try to find a way to make an asteroid like stop coming to like a whole galaxy. They will try to one-up you in everything. So you need to be mindful of those three copycats. If you have dealt with a copycat in your life, there are probably many ways that you have spotted that this person is a copycat. But the four main ways are as follows. Now, the first way to spot a copycat is when they try to one-up you with the exact same idea that you have. Let's say even in a conversation, for example, let's say you went to Paris and you're like, oh, and let's say you're talking about your trips, and then you say, oh, last year I went to Paris, I went to the Eiffel Tower. And then they say, oh yeah, I went to Paris too, and in fact, I even went on a sunset gaze at the top of the Eiffel Tower. And in fact, the guards even made way for me on the Eiffel Tower when I was in Paris. You see, they're trying to one-up you. They did the exact same thing as you, but they're trying to one-up you. And this relates to a spiteful copycat because the intent is to hurt you. So even if you have an idea, like let's say you're working in a group, for example, in class, and then you're given an idea and then you give an idea and then they take that exact same idea and try to make it their own, and they try to find a way to beautify it and, add ginger and salt and pepper and spices to it to make it their own, and they try and concoct a way to make it their own, then that is very toxic and it's very spiteful. In fact, it's extremely spiteful, and they will try to one-up you, so you need to be very, very mindful of that. Now, the second way to spot a copycat is if they are trying to be an exact replica of you. It's almost as if they feed off of trying to be you. They will act the way you do. They will develop. There's a difference between developing mannerisms because of how close you are with someone and actually trying to be the person and becoming that person. I know for a fact that with some of my close friends, I have developed some of their mannerisms, and they have probably developed some of mine because we have taken time to get to know each other. But then with copycats, if they actually become a replica of who you are, they become exactly like you. It's almost like they step out of their bodies and they become you for a second, and that's really what they feed off of. And this really relates to the toxic copycats. Now, the third way to spot a copycat is if they intentionally change their mindsets, their views, their opinions on specific topics to fit yours. It's almost as if they're sort of losing track of their authenticity, they're losing track of their initiative and how innovative they can be and how creative they can be. They let go of themselves as a whole and they want to fit you. Then let's say you're a copycat, right? To say, let's say they prefer Coke to Fanta, but then when they're around you, they prefer Fanta to Coke because you prefer Fanta to Coke. So when they're around you, they like the same things as you. It's different when you have similar interests to someone, but then when you like the exact same things as someone, you can clearly tell when someone is just trying to like be you, and when you can tell when someone is really just copying you. So if you see that they're intentionally doing it, they're intentionally changing their mindsets and their views and their opinions to really fit yours, then that's a pretty good sign that this person is trying to copy you. Now, the fourth way to spot a copycat is when they make their ideas yours, because their sole purpose is to try and be like you. They will literally take an idea that you have, and sometimes they won't even one-up you. They will literally take credit for your idea, and they will intentionally take credit for your idea just so it looks like it came from them. And this falls under either a spiteful copycat or a toxic copycat, because with both kinds of copycats, they don't give you credit for it because they're trying to take all the credit for the work that you have put into it. So those are the four main ways to spot a copycat. So now that you have spotted the copycat and you've really seen how they're trying to be like you and everything, now you'll probably ask yourself, okay, how am I going to deal with this situation? And there's three main ways to deal with it. Now, the first way to deal with a copycat, and this really depends on how close you are with the person. If you are friends with the person and you really care about the person and you see that they are always trying to copy you, like I said, it could be an insecurity thing. The first thing you need to do is you need to get to the root of the problem. You need to find out why they are the way they are, why they're doing what they're doing. And maybe if you really care about them and they're your friend, then try and help them find their authenticity. Try and help them find their creative space, because sometimes their creative space isn't your creative space, but then because they were solely focused on changing their vibe to be exactly like you, it's like they've probably forgotten who they are, because maybe they don't like themselves. Maybe they're dealing with a number of things, so they feel better when they don't feel like they're in their body, when they're trying to be like you. Maybe they're trying to impress you. Get to the root of the issue before you make an assumption, even with any situation. If someone is acting out, and if someone is let's say like a bully, for example, hurt people, right? So basically, a lot of the times people bully other people because they are dealing with stuff, and there's a lot of things that they haven't dealt with themselves. So they take it out on other people, they project. So a lot of the times it's the best way to deal with it is to get to the root of the problem. And this depends on how close you are with the person. Get to the root of the issue, see why they are the way that they are, and maybe see how you can fix it in the long run. Now, the second way to deal with a copycat is to ignore them. If you're not close with them and you can see that it's not doing any harm to you and it's not putting you in harm's way, then ignore them, because sometimes you have to win the battle by not fighting it. Choose your battles wisely. You don't need to fight every single battle that comes your way, because a lot of the times, especially with spiteful copycats, they're really copying you to see how you'll respond, and they want a response from you. They want to see how you will react. So sometimes don't give the people what they're looking for, because when you give them what they're looking for, then it's going to fuel them even more to be like you in order to get that response from you, and they really want to see you break down. So sometimes it's best to just ignore them. Now, the third way to deal with a copycat is by confronting them. And confronting them will only come into play when you see that they're really taking credit for your idea. And let's say a huge business plan, for example, and that is your idea, and you see it's being executed, but everyone thinks that is your idea and everything. Then you can confront them. If it is putting you in harm's way, if you feel threatened by them, and if you can see that it's really going to cause a lot of damage to you in the long run, and it's going to cause a lot of unnecessary baggage onto you, then it's really best to confront the person and stand your ground and tell them, no, this is not good. That was my idea. You need to claim what's yours. Sometimes, of course, you can ignore some battles, but sometimes you need to claim what's yours as well. So confront them if you're in harm's way. So if you've gotten to the end of this video and you're wondering, am I a copycat? Am I really slipping into that trend? What do I do? Oh my word. And even if you have a slight feeling that maybe you could be slipping into that way, there are three ways to deal with that. Now, the first way to deal with that is acceptance. When you are getting over a particular situation, if you are feeling a certain feeling, the first way to deal with that emotion, circumstance, situation, or whatever is to accept the fact that you are feeling that way. The first way you need to deal with that feeling is acceptance. You need to accept the fact that that is who you may be, and you need to accept the fact that, okay, you are slipping into that trend of what a copycat does. So the first way to deal with it is acceptance. The second way to deal with the situation is you need to figure out what your qualities are, your skills are, your talents are, because the best way to boost your self-confidence is finding a new skill or even developing a skill that you already have so that you don't feel like you need to be somebody else in order to prove how great you are. This world would be super, super boring if everyone looked the same. So you need to make sure that you find yourself, you feel good in your own skin, step out of the body of someone else and come back into your own skin and love your skin to the fullest. Because if you don't love it to the fullest, then that's how you're going to end up feeling like, okay, I need to be this person. I need to be exactly like this person in order to feel good about myself. So figure out what you're good at and level up. Now, the third way to deal with that feeling is that you need to embrace your flaws. When you accept the good, the bad, the ugly, every single aspect of yourself for what it is, your flaws especially. If you feel like, oh no, my smile is too wide, instead of saying my smile is too wide, say my smile is beautiful, my smile is so bright, it can light up a room. Instead of saying, oh my word, oh my gosh, my thighs, say yes, I have beautiful thighs, I have beautiful legs. In fact, you need to say positive things unto yourself. Accept your flaws for what they are and don't always give yourself negative energy and negative vibes, because that's when you end up feeling bad about yourself and it leads you to end up wanting to be like somebody else. So make sure you embrace your flaws in everything that you do. So I hope this video helped you, and I hope these steps helped you, and I hope you take these into your stride. As always, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and hit the bell to be notified when I post new videos. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Stay safe. God bless you all. Bye.